Right, good morning guys. Day 3 of the lockdown, Sunday morning. All the churches are closed, so you can't even attend a church service. I want to show you something that you can teach your kids. Somebody showed me this many years ago, and up to today I still remember it. So the story goes like this. This kid was on his way to heaven. He was on a train and he had his ticket. So the devil came to him and said to him, "My boy, where are you going?" And the kid says, "I'm going to heaven." And the devil says, "But how do you know you're going to go to heaven?" And the kid says, "But I've got a ticket." And the devil laughed and he said, "You're not going to go to heaven because you have a ticket. Let me burst your bubble there." So the boy took the ticket, he folded it in half, like so. He folded it and he said, "I am going to heaven because I went to church every Sunday. I've never missed a Sunday. I was there every single Sunday." And the devil laughed and he said, "Well, going to church doesn't mean you're going to go to heaven. A lot of church people are not going to go to heaven because they're there for the wrong reasons." So the kid thought about it, and after a little while he folded his ticket again. So from church he folded it. And he said to the devil, "But I grew up in a Christian home. My parents were both Christians, my family, my brothers, all of them were Christians, so I'm going to heaven." And the devil laughed at him again and he said, "Well, I am very happy that you are born in a Christian home, but if you were born in a bakery, you would have been a bread," if that was the argument. So being born in a Christian home doesn't mean you're going to go to heaven. So the kid really thought about this and he prayed in his heart and he says, "God, how do I know I'm going to go to heaven?" And the Holy Spirit told him this. So from the house you fold the paper like this again. And he said to the devil, "One day, there was a day that I went onto my knees and I prayed to God to come into my life and to be my king. And that's how I know that I'm going to heaven, because I invited Jesus into my heart." So the devil realized that this kid is actually going to heaven, and he tried to grab the kid's ticket and he tore it. But he realized he only had a little bit. Don't throw that away. He realized he only had a little bit. So he went in for it again and he tore it again. And by this time he said, "I've got enough of his ticket," and he ran away. Now this left the kid very upset and crying. And as he was crying, the conductor came around and he said, "My boy, why are you crying?" And the kid said, "Well, I was on my way to heaven and I had a ticket. But the devil came and he tore my ticket and now I'm not going to go to heaven anymore." And the conductor took his ticket and he looked at it with a big smile on his face. And he said to the son, "My boy, you are going to heaven because you have kept the most important part of your ticket in your heart." So the story has a further twist to it. The devil ran to his compartment, very chuffed with himself, and as he sat in his compartment, he threw those ticket bits that he had. He threw them on the table. And very slowly these bits started to move. You see, the devil thought he grabbed so much of this boy's ticket, and the pieces started to move and they started to form a picture. And the devil said, "Well, I've taken that kid's ticket and I'm going to heaven instead of him." And as these pieces moved into place, more and more and more, he started to get even more worried, because the bits that he got left over spelled the word where he is on his way to. Right, guys, teach that to your children. It's a good message, and God bless you all, and I hope you are safe. Cheers.